We all know the song, right? Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, the little guy who saved Christmas. But what if I told you that the story we grew up with isn't the whole story? What if the real story is way stranger and honestly way more scientific than you could ever imagine? Like, what if that famous glowing nose wasn't some magical fog light, but actually a sign of a really nasty parasitic infection? And get this, what if the most famous male reindeer in history has been a female this whole time? And what if Rudolph isn't just a cute cartoon, but an absolute beast of a creature, tough enough to literally survive re-entering the Earth's atmosphere? Okay, buckle up. Let's dive into the wild science behind our favorite reindeer. So, before we get into all the crazy biology, we have to start with his origin story. And believe me, it doesn't begin in some ancient, timeless folktale. Nope, it starts somewhere a lot more, well, commercial.
Just look at this timeline. Rudolph is a super recent invention. St. Nicholas goes way back to the 4th century, but Rudolph, he wasn't even a thing until 1939. He was created for a promotional coloring book for the Montgomery Ward department store. Seriously, an employee named Robert May wrote it. And the song we all sing, that didn't come out for another 10 years in 1949.
And here's a fun little tidbit. The whole idea almost got thrown in the trash. May's editor was really worried because back then, a bright red nose was kind of the go-to cartoon symbol for an alcoholic. They did not want their cute little Christmas reindeer giving off that vibe. Thankfully, the story was just too charming to scrap. Okay, so if it's not magic, what in the world could make a reindeer's nose glow so bright? Well, the leading scientific theory is, a little bit gross.
So you've got two competing theories here. On one hand, you have the sweet, magical Christmas story we all know and love, and on the other hand, you have a pretty gnarly biological explanation from some insect experts.
Yep, you're reading that right. One major scientific theory is that Rudolph's shiny nose is caused by a parasitic botfly infection in his sinuses. The body's reaction, all the inflammation and heat, would make his nose swell, turn super red, and even look like it's glowing. So, Merry Christmas. All right, now for another bombshell that might just change how you see this story forever. We've all been calling him Rudolph, but if we take a closer look at reindeer biology, we might have the name and the gender totally wrong. Okay, so here's the key fact. In the reindeer world, both the guys and the girls grow antlers, which is pretty rare for deer. But here's the thing, they don't keep them for the same amount of time. The male reindeer use their big, impressive antlers to fight for mates in the fall. But once mating season is done, usually around early December, they drop them. It helps them save energy for the super long, tough winter. So, do you see where this is going? Any reindeer you see pulling Santa's sleigh on Christmas Eve with a full set of antlers would have to be female. That means Rudolph, and probably the whole team, Dasher, Dancer, all of them are the powerful ladies of Christmas.
And it doesn't stop there. The biological fun facts just keep coming. Reindeer are actually the only mammals whose eyes change color with the seasons. In the summer, they're gold to deal with all that sunlight. But in the dark Arctic winter, they turn this deep blue to soak up every last bit of light. So not only is Rudolph a girl, she'd have these brilliant blue eyes too.
So if that nose isn't a magical flashlight, what other secret powers could Rudolph be hiding? Well, it turns out Santa might have picked his lead reindeer for a very scientific reason that has everything to do with their incredible eyesight.
No, I'm not kidding. This is a real biological superpower. We can't see in the UV spectrum, and neither can most other animals, but reindeer, they can. It's this amazing adaptation that gives them a huge advantage where they live.
For a reindeer, things that absorb UV light, like lichen, which is their favorite food, or the fur of a wolf trying to sneak up on them, practically scream out against the snow. It's like they have built-in blacklights for eyes. So on a foggy Christmas Eve, Santa wouldn't need a flashlight. He'd need a guide who could see in a whole other spectrum of light. All right, so we've covered history and biology. This is where things go from fascinating to just mind-bending. Because pulling Santa's sleigh isn't just a flight, it's an act of physical endurance that pushes the laws of physics to the absolute limit. Let's just talk numbers for a second. According to NORAD, which has been tracking Santa for decades, his sleigh is moving at a staggering 9.2 million kilometers per hour. To give you some perspective, that is over 7,600 times the speed of sound. And he's doing this at an altitude of 18 kilometers, way up in the stratosphere, where the air is razor thin and unbelievably cold.
Just try to imagine what that means for the reindeer right at the front. Rudolph has to withstand speeds we can barely comprehend, freezing cold, and just immense physical force. She's less of a reindeer and more of an extremophile.
And this brings us right back around to where we started, that famous nose. At that insane velocity, the friction from the air molecules would be so intense that it would heat Rudolph's nose until it glowed red hot. So the glow isn't magic, and it's not a parasite. It's the same physics that makes a space shuttle burn bright when it re-enters the atmosphere.
So let's just recap the new and improved Rudolph we've just discovered. A marketing character from the 1930s who's almost definitely a female with blue eyes that can see in UV, might have a parasitic infection, and is tough enough to survive atmospheric re-entry. Yeah, not exactly the simple story we learned as kids, is it?
It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? If a simple Christmas story has all this science and history and physics bubbling just under the surface, what other stories that we love are out there, just waiting for us to take a closer look?